All right, folks, before I get into this first story, I just want to remind you guys, us at the United Urban Network, we've got a few events taking place in the next few days. Tomorrow, you can join us at Brunswick Park. Yes, for Brunswick Family Fun Day. Join us tomorrow between 11 and 1 or 2 o'clock. Hopefully the weather will permit. I looked on the Weather Channel, said they will let us have a day, have somewhat of an opportunity to have some decent weather around the middle of the day. And if there is any, there might be some drizzling, but that's about it. So come on out, join us for a free morning, afternoon of fun and activities at Brunswick Park. A family-friendly day to celebrate the park. There will be games and refreshments. We will also be learning about nature. We'll be teaching the kids about nature. It is Saturday, September the 28th, between 11 and 1 or 2. Like I said, there should be refreshments. We usually have music. We always have music and those types of things. So come on out. Brunswick Park tomorrow. Thank you to our friends at the Field Museum, the City of Gary, and the Nature Conservancy. All of our partners. The City of Gary has always been really good to us at the United Urban Network. And also on Tuesday, October the 1st, we are going to be celebrating the Women of Steel. Yes, the Women of Steel for the United Steelworkers Union. As long as there's been a steel industry, there has been women in steel. There have always been women in steel. In the early days of steel mills, women's work in the mills went largely unnoticed, and their administrative and support positions were often overshadowed by the male realms of monumental steel production. That changed dramatically in the 40s. You guys know the story of Rosie the Riveter. We are going to be celebrating all those types. So please come on out and join us tomorrow at Brunswick Park, and on October 1st at the Welcome Center in Hammond, 46323. The Welcome Center, October the 1st. The time will be 5:30 p.m. in Hammond at the Welcome Center, 7770 Corinne Drive, 777 Corinne Drive in Hammond, 5:30 p.m. The Welcome Center, to celebrate Women in Steel on October the 1st. So please, show some love. Show some love to United Urban Network Incorporated. Come out tomorrow at Brunswick. Come out on Tuesday. Come out on October the 1st at Women to see Women of Steel at the Welcome Center in Hammond. All right, folks, we got to start this very first story. Again, I talked about James Bond. He was a former police commander who's been ordered detained. And so how did we get to this situation? A federal magistrate judge ordered former police commander James Bond to be detained pending trial on charges of child exploitation and pornography after he determined that the former officer could be a danger if he is released back into the community. United States District Court Magistrate Judge Abizar Zanzi ordered former Commander James Bond to remain incarcerated after hearing about the evidence in the case and the arguments from the prosecution and defense Tuesday morning during a detention hearing at Hammond Federal Courthouse. Charges against Bond were unsealed on Thursday related to allegations he enticed a 17-year-old teenager, good God, to produce sexually explicit photos and send them to him in July while the teen was an intern at the city's summer youth employment program, according to a federal indictment. he has pleaded not guilty to these charges. So I think it's important to say that, but it ain't looking good for the brother. It is not looking good if you hear some of the details of this case. Judge Zanzi said, based on what he heard from the attorneys during the hearing, that he had reason to believe that Bond's alleged crimes exceeded the scope of what was presented in court. The government offered evidence of his crimes, and he was charged and said that they are investigating other. Now, this is how you start getting into Puff Daddy, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby territory, when you start having corroborating witnesses, when you start having corroborating victims as well. Other potential incidents, one involving another teenage victim who supposedly reported a very similar story that happened last summer, and one involving a victim who reported Bond touched them inappropriately in a police vehicle with the other teens. Wow. So how is this animal, this person, walking around, driving around, supposedly protecting and serving us here in the city of Gary, while he was being essentially a menace to society with our children? How does that work? During the presentation of the evidence, Assistant U.S. Attorney Ellie Zinner said that the teenager reported the conduct to law enforcement July 9th after the teen had exchanged phone messages with Bond that were friendly and turned flirtatious. Dude, you're 52 years old and you're flirting with a teenager? Really? The teen told Bond they were interested in pursuing an acting career, and Bond said he might be able to help. So the two exchanged phone numbers. Really? The old sleazy, I can help you get into movies, I can put you in pictures. That scam? You know, that's why somebody like that is so low down. You know, taking advantage of somebody who is naive. I can help you get into pictures. There's not a woman over 18 who would fall for that. I'm sorry. Like that scam's been done so much. I don't think too many 18-year-olds are falling for that. You gotta be underage to fall for I can get you a picture scam. Now the assistant U.S. State's Attorney Ellie Zinner told the court that the teen turned over the cell phone to the police, who located the messages many sent via Snapchat. And that's another thing that a lot of you parents don't know about your kids. They are on Snapchat, sending nude pictures to people and receiving nude pictures from people. A lot of you guys just see your kid on the phone and just assume that they are playing a video game or doing something like that. A lot of times these kids are exchanging all kinds of lewd and lascivious messages on Snapchat, especially if they are girls. Now, it's not that boys aren't targeted. Boys are targeted. But girls specifically are targeted in these social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all these things. And so I beg you, please monitor what your children are doing with these apps. I am begging you. You can see in the messages that Mr. Bond is ramping up the conversation, seeing if he can trust this person. Zinner said, I'd say this conversation is consistent with grooming, and that absolutely is what grooming is. And that's why it's so important for us to protect our young girls. We still haven't found Janiyah McMichael, and we still have so many young girls who are missing. And it's unfortunate to say that a lot of girls do come up missing after being groomed by somebody. who, you know, they may have been talking to somebody online. That's why it's important for you to make sure that you follow what your children are doing on the internet, folks. Their relationship progressed to a video call in which Bond allegedly exposed himself to the teenager and asked the teenager to do the same. Good God. The teen reported Bond asked them to send him a nude video, and they complied. The video was found on the teenager's phone that was turned over to police. Police served a warrant for his phone on July 12th and did not find similar Snapchat messages or video, but did locate a screenshot from the video on his phone. The government alleges that Bond deleted the messages himself. Why do y'all think that y'all can just delete messages and the government can't get those messages? When you delete something, it ain't gone forever, okay? You got to know that. And you would think a cop would know this. You would think a cop, especially one named James Bond, wouldn't be so naive to think that merely pressing delete would completely clear him of any evidence of wrongdoing. But here we go. Bond knew the age of the victim, as the teen had said they told Bond their age before. This was corroborated by another witness in the program who said they heard this conversation. Zinner said the government has no evidence that Bond ever engaged in any kind of physical relationship with the teenager. However, he did say that there's evidence that Bond wanted to, allegedly saying he looked forward to the teenager turning 18 and then contradicting himself, asked the teen to come over. Oh my God. Thank God this teen victim declined. Zinner said that he abused the power of his office. He identified youth victims working under him as targets, and he used that power to seem charming. Wow. Zinner said the government fears that if released, Bond would either use electronics to engage in similar conduct or what he was charged with, or attempt to influence testimony from the witnesses. Bond's release could discourage other victims from coming forward with accusations. Zinner said Bond also has ties to the community given his lengthy history in law enforcement. He also said any condition of release that prohibited use of electronics would be impossible to enforce. Zinner also argued that Bond could be a flight risk given his community ties of people who, through his history as a police officer, who lived a comfortable life and likely has a reason and a desire not to go to prison. So, I mean, I don't think anybody has a desire not to go to prison. Nobody wants to go to prison. You know, ask P. Diddy. In the defense argument, Wood said that pretrial release with conditions recommended in the federal statute include many stipulations that could mitigate any potential danger to the community, including electronic monitoring, a ban on gun possession, and no victim contact, among others. Wood cited Indiana's age of consent law that prohibits sexual activity with anyone under the age of 16. The summer program participants were ages 16 to 18, Wood said, including the alleged victim. He said Bond was not the direct supervisor of the teenagers in the employment program, but rather was tasked with finding things for them to do. Judge Zanzi remarked that pornographic images of anyone under the age of 18, even if they are legal, is still illegal. You can't have pornographic images of a 16-year-old even if the age of consent is 16. You cannot have pornographic images of anyone under 18 years old, folks. Now, Woods had to agree with this. He said the government's proffer of information in this case was largely focused on Bond's relationship with the teenagers in the program rather than the images in the evidence. Woods said that he was not saying that the alleged conduct is not unsavory. Oh, well, that's mighty big of him. We are talking about whether Bond is a danger to the victim. I'd say so. Wood said if Bond wanted to contact the victim or flee the area, he had considerable time to do that prior to his arrest, and Bond had known about the investigation since the warrant was served in mid-July and retained counsel during this time. When he was arrested, he surrendered peacefully to authorities. If he were to leave, that would have been the time to do it, Wood said. Wood asked Zanzi to consider Bond's history as a police officer, not only because of his lack of a criminal record, but because of the likelihood he would encounter people in jail whom he has arrested or investigated. He has already encountered 2 of those individuals since his arrest last week. Well, too bad. Too bad. You shouldn't be a creep then. Grooming underage children then, Mr. Bond, if that is your real name. Zanzi ordered the United States Marshals to take any extra measures necessary to ensure that Bond would be safe while incarcerated. He said that if at any point evidence does not support what was presented at this hearing, he wants to be notified immediately. The case is being prosecuted by the U.S. Northern District of Illinois, but all hearings are held in Hammond because these crimes allegedly took place in Indiana, Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Patrick has said. Fitzpatrick, who handles public affairs for the Northern District of Illinois, could not comment on why the case was being charged in federal court as opposed to state court, and Bond's case is scheduled for trial in November. Once the feds got you, it's over. The feds don't miss, and I'm pretty sure I don't want them to in this particular case. This is what we talked about a few weeks ago with the Janiyah McMichael case and with the case of the young lady that was assaulted brutally at the Jackson house. Folks, we really have to do a much better job protecting our young people from these predators. Unfortunately, some of these predators are even the police. So you can't even 100% trust all of them. But as I said, make sure you monitor what is on your child's phones. Make sure if they have Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat, make sure that you go through those apps. You buy the phone. You buy the phone. Make sure that you vet what's on it. Let me take this call before I go to a break. Hello, caller.
Okay, Scott.
Yes.
Now, you know what the federal government going to do, right?
They going to get them.
Well, we already know
the feds don't miss.
Wait, baby, just wait a minute. They going to get them. Matter of fact, they already got them.
Yeah.
But you know what they're going to do, right?
What's up?
You know, have you heard people have a heart attack and you never know what happened?
Yeah.
Okay, you understand what I'm trying to tell you?
Oh.
I can't just say this about well, I can. Uncle Sam give people heart attacks.
I heard that.
Okay.
Thank you for your call, brother.
Okay. All right.
It is what it is. Hey, that's what I was thinking about the Diddy case. You know, Sean Diddy Combs was talking about that he wanted to testify. He couldn't wait to testify, and I went, oh, man. Hopefully he's not feeling suicidal, as they say. Let me get this last call before I go to a break. Hello, caller.
Hey, caller. Just first-time caller. How you doing, Scott?
It's all good, brother.
My name is Reverend Nyla Bazone Scott Johnson, Jr., and I'm a write-in candidate for president this general election in October, November from Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
And I just had 2 things, if I could share with the public.
Hey, shoot.
Okay, there's a website to give you up-to-the-minute crimes in Gary, Indiana, or any city. It's called spotcrime.com, SPOTCRIME.com. And in the last 30 days, you had 1,696 crimes that nobody's reporting. But if you want, they tell you to block and the information and stuff. But I am running for president as a write-in candidate, so you have to write my name in. But that's what I want to share about the
All right.
crime. But
All right. Thank you for your call, brother. It's all
Okay.
good. All right, folks. When we come back, we're going to get into a subject that means a lot to me because, hey, I'm here at WLTH. I'm the media. We're going to talk about some media ownership and who's trying to take over the media. You won't want to miss that. We'll be right back after these.